Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. Shortly, we'll be joined by Fake Your Death, who we recently featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify with their single Humanity. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Welcome to Fake Your Death, to the Discover New Music podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you both on today. Obviously, for listeners, we've got Candy, we've got Sam that make up the band. Lots of exciting pieces of work for us to talk about. Lots going on with the band. But the most important question for me right now is, how are you both doing this evening?
Doing all right, thanks, Paul. Yeah, bit cold, but good.
It has been rather cold this last few days, hasn't it? Which it hasn't been nice, especially when it's still quite wet out there as well. But that is the British weather for you. Yeah, lightening my day and warming me up obviously is the fact that I get to talk to you about everything you've been doing, which I've really been enjoying. I caught you live last summer, I guess it was, supporting Empire State Bastard in Cambridge. Really enjoyed you, and obviously, getting to catch the singles and put them on our playlist has been fantastic. So we're going to delve into it all. But we always start off the podcast with the same feature. It's the Discover New Music podcast, and hopefully there'll be some people discovering new music. So for people unaware of the band that are listening, what is the origin story for the band? It's a fancy way of me asking, really, how did you guys come to shape, Fake Your Death as it is now?
Yeah, good question. So I think it was during like COVID lockdown
Yeah.
time. Sort of experimenting with different electronic music, and then it was formed there. And then when the world came back to normal, I think we were sort of said, well, could we make a thing of this, play it live? Could we actually make this a band and with just the two of us? And yeah, turns out we can so far.
We can. Yeah, we were in a band before together. So we've been playing together for years. And then, yeah, when COVID hit, we basically got rid of a member and then just the two of us are left.
Yeah, nothing too sinister in getting rid of them, hopefully.
he's
Sounded
alive.
like you buried them in the garden for a minute,
Yeah.
but yeah, funnily, COVID keeps coming up on this podcast, and I think because it is the Discover New Music podcast, it will for a little while as yet, because obviously it was a horrible time in all of our lives that we desperately want to forget. But one thing it gave everyone that they didn't normally have was time, and the amount of musicians that use that time creatively to obviously test new waters and form new bands. And yeah, it's a regular kind of time frame that our guests on here talk about. So yeah, absolutely. We want to forget about it, but it's given us some good bands, some great bands, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a freeing time because there wasn't obviously any shows or
Mm,
anything around. So it was just like, yeah, what you can do.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just try to be creative. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm, for one, really glad that you did. So obviously, lots for us to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is your latest single. It's one of quite a few actually that we've had on the playlist, which is great because quite often we do try and limit ourselves. Like, oh, let's just do one per band. But I'm struggling with that. A little bit, especially with yourselves, and there's been a few, but we're going to hone in on the latest one, and it's Humanity. So what can you tell us about the single? As a song, how did it come about for you? What are the themes behind it? What's the story, I guess, of Humanity?
So I guess lyrically, humanity's sort of about just being really pissed off at the world because it's quite shit the time that we live in right now. Like loads of stuff just doesn't feel like it's really changing. It feels like if anything, it's just getting worse. And it's sort of that frustration that I think a lot of us feel like we want to do something, but you just don't know how to change all the crap that's happening in the world that is affecting you and everyone that you love. Really. So yeah, it's just me being really pissed off. I think vocally for 3 minutes.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that.
Well, musically it means nothing to
Musically,
you.
yeah, that's definitely it's a lyrically driven song. I think just that humanity is breaking me statement
Yeah.
repeated. I think can all relate to it in some way. You know, like feeling like
Definitely.
part of the problem as well, though, not being able to do anything about it. And yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's quite hypocritical, isn't it? Like we're all pretty hypocritical in that we add to it even though we want to solve it.
Yeah.
yeah, not saying we haven't figured it out. You know, we're just as
Yeah.
bad as everyone else. You know.
Yeah, we don't know how to stop it. Quoting myself there.
Absolutely, though, and then as Sam says, it's something we can all kind of relate to, and you know, especially living in the UK as we do, you know, the last few years between obviously COVID and before that we've had Brexit, and we've got a cost of living crisis. I mean, it feels you feel helpless, don't you? Like you say, you don't see how we get out of this. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's obviously great to be able to put that energy into a song such as this, and obviously, yeah, again, grateful that you have. Yeah, absolutely, listeners need to check it out on our playlist, but they also need to check out the video. So I'm a massive music video geek. You know, I'm of an age where I grew up before school, after school. It was MTV2, it was Kerrang, it was Scuzz. You know, I had all of that on, like, religiously watching it all, and I just feel that it's a dying art these days, really. You know, it's quite often bands I talk to on here that don't even have one for me to talk to them about because, again, cost of living, etc. The industry is tough, and it's quite often one of the first things to get cut from the budget. You know, we can't afford a music video, which is always a shame. But thankfully, and thank you again, you have got one for humanity, and I've sat and watched it again this evening, and it is a fantastic video. Really just just loved sitting there and checking it out, and obviously the sort of different sort of look it's got to a lot of the videos that I have obviously discussed on this podcast. It's got a something different about it that stands out, and obviously kudos to you for that. So the question is, how did you come up with the concept for that video, and how did you put it into practice?
So I guess with the video, yeah, I think we're both the same as you. We're like the Kerrang Scuzz era
Yeah,
where
I think it's sad that that's gone, but I don't know if I just feel like an old man talking about it. But
I
like,
always do.
the kids are missing out on. We used to have videos on TV, and that would, like you said, that's how you discover music. And obviously now it's way easier, which is probably better, but still like long for those days.
yeah, I agree. It's like it feels like to me music videos make the music come alive. They tell a different version of the story, or they support the themes that you as an artist are trying to put across. And with the video, I think we work with one of our friends is an amazing videographer, so we really couldn't do it without our friend Ian, who has done 2 out of the 3 of our videos. He's done that and Consume. He's just a total legend, so we really couldn't do it without him at all. But we just sort of come up with random ideas, and then he sort of brings us back into things that can actually be done.
Well, this one's more like the physical change.
Yeah, I
you're
want
going
it to
through,
be.
and the environment is the breaking down, like to
Yeah.
go the lyrics or whatever.
Yeah. I remember saying to Ian, just beat me up. It's fine. Just beat me up for the video. It looked great. And then obviously he was like, we can't actually do that because that is ridiculous. So he sort of brings it into something that can actually be called art, rather than me just throwing shit ideas at him and seeing what sticks. But yeah, and then it was we got to use prosthetics and stuff, which was well fun. To be honest, it was it was a well fun day.
Got to break some stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you set some stuff on
Nice.
fire.
Oh, fantastic.
I was jealous of the fire.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's interesting what you said about like you say you're a music video nerd. Like I feel like I don't even know if people watch videos anymore. Like I rarely watch one all the way through. I feel like it's quite often for the social media post to be like, we have a video. So it's interesting times we live in, but I guess we're still trying to be artistic in that field as well.
Yeah, it still feels like part of the expression. It's really to me personally, it's really important that expression gets done. Also, they're really fun to make. Why wouldn't you want to get like beat up? It's well fun.
Yeah, not quite sure on that one, but yeah, like getting beaten up. But no, I agree, and so I am glad you do it, because it does help you connect with a band more, in my opinion. Again, growing up, especially like as impressionable youth, and there's one thing hearing a song, but then when you kind of watch a video, especially some videos that can be done really, really well. And my favorite ones are the ones that kind of mesh a story with some live scenes, you know. And obviously, you just get a better feel for the type of band that you're listening to, and you know some of the scenes you see, and you just think, yeah, oh, I want to do that. You know, I want to make that music, or I want to, be at that show watching it, or whatever it may be. It just, yeah, it really adds a different dynamic to just sort of sitting in a dark room and listening to music, which is great in itself. But you know, it's just another sort of portal for us to do that. And yeah, no, glad that you have done it, and I'm glad as well that both of you said that you had fun, because that's what it's all about. And again, when I sat and watched the video, it's one of those ones where I thought, I bet they had fun making this.
Yeah, it was messy, but it was fun.
Yeah, the messy ones always seem to be the fun ones. Whenever I talk to bands on here, you know, it's always like, oh yeah, it was so messy. I was cleaning this out of my hair for days, but you know, it was so worth doing it. You know, so no, absolutely fantastic. And the link for that video will be in the bio of this episode. So obviously, I encourage listeners to go and check that out. And obviously, Humanity is the most recent of a few songs, as we said, that we've put on the playlist. A few songs that you've put out. There's been a sort of steady stream of new music coming from the band, singles coming out. So where do you see it going, in a sense of, you know, are you looking for a release of something a bit more meatier coming soon, an EP, an album? You know, is it building towards something like that? You probably can't give too many details away because that's how the industry works. But you know, I'm hoping there's something coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're working towards doing some longer releases this year, whether that's 1 or 2 EPs, or we're writing with longer releases in mind now. We've sort of tested the waters a bit, you know. But that's another discussion as well, isn't it? Weighing up like doing singles versus doing longer releases. Like these days, it's hard to know what people want. But like, yeah, we've got some longer stuff coming, more stuff coming.
Yes, longer releases, and also hopefully some more shows as well. Because just harping back to the video point, it gives you an idea of what a band's going to be like live, and that's really a really important part of this band is the show. Is that kind of the drama of the show. So yeah, I'm hoping to, well, we've got a couple of shows under our belt and a few kind of in the pipeline. So yeah, hoping to get on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lovely segue, because that is the next sort of portion of the podcast. We start talking about the live side of things, and as I said in the introduction, actually, it's quite quite amusing, because my introduction to you was obviously Empire State Bastard in Cambridge, MASH, and obviously for those that maybe aren't familiar with Empire State Bastard, obviously singer is Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro. So I took my mother-in-law along to that show, who is not into heavy music whatsoever, and I was a bit like, are you sure you want to come to this? Just because he's there, I'm not sure you're going to enjoy this. And like part of what I loved obviously about your set was obviously yourselves and the music, and it was just such a visceral experience that you presented on stage, which was amazing. But I also just loved glancing at my mother-in-law going, so thank you for those memories. And yeah, obviously, you know, what was your experience of playing? Because I mean, obviously, it weren't just Simon. You got Mike from Oceanside. You got obviously David Lombardo from. I mean, that's a pretty decent sort of set of people to play with. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was cool, wasn't it? It was,
Yeah,
we got added to
cool.
the bill very last minute. We'd watched Empire State Bastard at Download like the couple of weeks before, so we were aware of them. Yeah, you know, it was a hectic show, and like setting up my drum kit in front of Dave's drum kit was, you know, something I'll always remember for sure.
Yeah, there was a point, and I was like, can we slightly like move some of the instruments off so I can, not the drum kit, you cannot move the drum kit, but I was like, maybe the keys, just move the keys off.
Yeah. I remember setting up my kit, and Dave's drum tech was like, "Oh yeah, nice drums," and I was like, "Shut up! Like, look at this thing behind me. Look at all these drums behind me. You don't have to say that. You don't have to say that."
Like your mum saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad you said your mum felt uncomfortable, because that is like a big deliberate thing that we do live, and in the music, just to give that like
making mums uncomfortable.
Make your mums uncomfortable. Since 2023.
There's a lot of mums in like on the Biffy t-shirts.
There were so many middle-aged women there, and I was just thinking, yeah, you're not going to enjoy this. So
it almost made it more fun, because it felt like a challenge. It was like, okay, welcome then. If we're in it, we're in it together.
Yes, absolutely. And I absolutely loved it. I loved your set. It was a great introduction to you, and obviously cannot wait to check the band out again. And there is, as you say, going to be some opportunities coming up. The ones that I noticed is obviously you've got Guildford and Brighton coming up with St Agnes, who we had on our sister podcast a few months back. So yeah, great band. And obviously, yeah, listeners, again, I encourage you to pop along to those shows if you can, because there's a couple of great bills there. I think Beck's playing as well. So obviously, again, must be excited to get out and play those shows.
Yeah, I mean, we're from Brighton, and I grew up in
Yeah,
Guildford. It's two venues.
perfect.
Wow, yeah, it should be good. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah, the St Agnes guys are really nice as well. So let's crack on. 2024. Let's do this.
dust off those Christmas cobwebs, get back out there. Be
Yeah,
good.
remember how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, always a challenge, the first shows of the year, I suppose. But obviously, yeah, two great places to do it in Guildford and Brighton. Both actually got great kind of music scenes there. So absolutely fantastic that you're getting to do that. And there is going to be, again, lots more shows coming, I'm sure. A load that you probably, can't say just yet, which is why I always like to give out the social handles. Again, we talk about being old. I always feel a bit old when I'm doing this because at the end of the day, we're going to have the links in the bio, so listeners could just click through there. But it's become a bit of a tradition, and I like to give them out. And I quite often like to laugh because some of them get quite elaborate these days with like all kinds of underscores and stuff. You guys have done pretty well, I've got to say. So Instagram and Facebook is Fake Your Death Band, nice and simple. Hopefully, listeners would find that without my guidance. Twitter is We Are FYD. So obviously, I'm guessing the one you wanted was gone.
Yeah, and it's sort of dying, isn't it? So it's
The fact that I keep calling it Twitter, despite the fact it's
There we
been
go.
probably like a year now.
there we go.
I
We're old.
refuse to call it X. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah, it's
Twitter.
bullshit. It's bullshit. They took that bird away.
Yeah.
We are FID because some other bastard stole Fate Your Death Band.
Yeah, you get some elaborate handles these days. I think the most funny thing is like a band starts and they're really small and they need to put official after their thing.
Yes.
Like band name official. Like there's an unofficial account of their tiny little band. So, yeah, that's my piece there.
Maybe we should make an unofficial account.
Yeah. We'll make
FYD unofficial. Unofficial. Yes, sorry, we interrupted your social.
No, absolutely. I love just to dive into the mechanics of social media handles. It's become a bit of a fetish of mine at this point, I think. So yeah, absolutely. And I will never ever call Twitter X at this point. I don't think. I pretty much still call Starburst like Opal Fruits, to be fair. So I don't. It's going to be a fair few years before it gets called X.
Yeah, don't change. Don't change.
No, out of principle, it's not happening. And on the our graphics for this, obviously, the links will pop up in a nice little box on YouTube, and there will still be the Twitter bird on there. That's not going anywhere either. The poor little thing. So yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Encourage listeners. Again, that's the place to stay up to date with like hopefully the releases that are going to come this year, the shows that are going to come this year. So listeners, definitely go and follow Fake Your Death on social media. And sticking with the live side of things, the kind of final sort of biggish portion of the podcast is something we call setlist science. So we've established a bit of a geek in many ways, music videos and everything. I love set lists as well. I love the mechanics of a set list and how do you build a set list. So for you, how do you view it? How much importance do you place into the structure of your set list, and have you got any rules that you tend to follow?
So normally when we start playing, there's no one in the room, so you don't really want to open with your banger because no one's going to hear it based on our experience. So you might want to drop that second song in as a highlight,
Well, that's why we have an intro.
or add a little intro,
We've got an
get
intro,
people
yeah. So they're not confused it started.
Yep.
It's definitely started.
in. For most of the time we played, we didn't have that many songs, so we'd put a lot of interludes in to drag things out. That's a good tip if you're starting up.
Lots of interludes.
Lots of interludes.
Lots of interludes.
And then finish on, I guess, your strongest one.
Yeah, and I think in terms of how we build ours as well, I think there has to be that journey of like they leave going, holy shit, what was that? Like, what was it I just saw? So you definitely want to leave with the ones where people are just generally confused. find what they saw.
Ours runs straight through as well. We're like, there's not a moment where there isn't any noise happening in some form, which is very deliberate. And
Yeah, and there's like no breaks. It's really nice actually. As a performer, I really enjoy that because I don't feel like the art breaks.
Yes.
Like when I'm in it and I'm on stage, even in those interludes, like I don't have to just talk shit, which is really nice. It's like it's like a gift to a front person to not have to talk shit at someone. It allows you to kind of stay where you are. So yeah, don't break it. Put an intro and outro. Don't talk shit. That's how we we do it around our weaknesses, which is me talking. To be honest.
Oh, no, that's absolutely great, and I really appreciate the no gap sort of style that there's become, especially in kind of heavier music recently. I've noticed it a lot more, and like you say, otherwise you just got either silence, which is especially as an opening band, it can be just a bit awkward, can't it? Or obviously that just awkward sort of filler, how's everyone doing? Yeah.
When bands start talking to each other, oh god, it actually gives me like anxiety just watching them, being like, I don't want to know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd rather you
do envy those front people who can talk shit and hold the room. There are some funny people out there, but
I'm just not one of them. Yeah, I'm not one of them.
No, and again, I think it does go down to the style of music. So obviously, we've had a guest on recently who was telling me about he basically tries out a bit of comedy between the songs, and playing like acoustic folk music as he does it actually suits quite well. But I don't think that would probably go down well with your audience doing that in between songs. Yeah,
no. Quite jarring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, my chatting has actually been compared to bad stand-up comedy, so that's why we've learnt those lessons from previous bands and done that. But yeah, it would be jarring if I was just screaming. Then I'm like, "Hello, hello, everyone." No, it would just no, just no.
No, I can appreciate that definitely, and I'm actually glad you just said about learning from other bands, because that's a question that I sometimes do ask on this podcast, especially when I've noticed. Obviously, we talked about Empire State Bastard and obviously the background of the individuals in that band, but they're not the only band with a good pedigree that you've played shows with. How much attention do you pay to what those bands are doing? Not just in the set list, but obviously set list is definitely relevant still. But in everything they do, are you looking to learn from those type of people when you obviously you're out there with them?
Definitely. I feel like every drive back after a show, that's what we're talking about. Or did you see how they did this, or how did they do that, or why? Definitely take something away from every band we play with.
Yeah, you can never learn too much. That's the thing. That's the thing about art. People will always surprise you. So you can always basically exactly what Sam said. We'll just always analyze what we did and what other people did, just to keep that kind of creativity going as well. Like, it's exciting to play with other bands and to see what they're doing, and it's cool. People are doing some really cool shit, and it's great to be a part of that and to be able to witness that. Like, it's not all just about years of slogging away in other bands. It really is about being in a scene and kind of learning from your peers as well.
Yeah, a brilliant answer. I really appreciate that, because it is just so important in obviously the industry, but in life as a whole. We should be obviously trying to be the best versions of ourselves we can be by obviously learning from those around us. So no, absolutely fantastic. And on obviously setlist science, still just to close setlist science out, we've added it in recently because it was a bit of an internet meme last year. It became the whole peekaboo for adults. It's encores basically. So yeah, cringing already. So what are your thoughts on encores? Yes or no?
It's a tough one. I hate the act of going off and everyone knows they're coming back on. It's just it is mad the more I think about it. But I think about when I was younger, going to my first shows. I love the excitement.
I feel like the older you get, the more angry you get at it, though.
Probably because we're waiting for a train or something. We're like, come on, get this bit out of the way.
Absolutely.
I don't care that you need a wee, even though I'm a performer. I don't care that you need a piss.
I find these days we're like, they're probably going to play that song last. Should we just skip it and get the train early? We're just getting old.
If you don't get the right train back to Brighton, you're like an hour and a half later and you're home at like 2:30 in the morning. You're like, this was not worth it. My aching bones.
Yeah, they can be good, can't they? But I think I've maybe just a bit cynical. It's just a
Yeah.
bit of too much of a faff. I'd rather someone just go, yeah, we're not doing the encore. We're not
Yeah.
going off. This is it.
Well, even
Yes.
when we went to go see some comedy, we saw James Acaster and he did an encore, and I was really surprised at that
Right.
because I didn't realise that other industries, especially something like that, where you just come on and tell some more jokes. I guess we just play more songs,
Yeah.
but it's harder, surely, to get the audience kind of back on.
Yeah.
on that. But he did it, and I clapped excessively.
That's it. I think that's where I'm settling. When I first started asking the question, I still felt there was a bit of a romance to a set list. Like you say, when you first go to shows and sorry, set list, an encore, obviously you start going to shows and it's part of that experience, you know, like there's some bands that joke and say, come on, we know you guys want to chant it. Go on, one more song, do it now. We're not going off and coming back on, but just get it out of the way now type thing, you know. And yeah, there is that romance. But equally, the older I get, like you say, actually, I've got a train I want to catch. You know what? You know, let's just get this, let's wrap this up. You know,
All the
so
old bitter people now.
I think
yeah,
maybe the worst encore is the ones where they come back and they play like their hit again that they already played in the set. You know, like well, you get that if you go see like a band who have reformed and they're like playing their album in full or something. And they're doing encore and like play the lead single again.
Doesn't Chesney Hawkes do that? He plays the one and only at the beginning, and he plays it at the end as well.
Fair play.
I thought that'd be the only song you played. To be fair, because
It's
it's
just-
the
it's
one. It's because it's the one and only.
Yeah.
No, so old dad
That
jokes.
would be
Got to
great. That would be a great show, and it just 25 minutes of that song
do. Yeah.
going again and again.
Absolutely, absolutely. But no, yeah, absolutely. I love the answer you've given to obviously the set the science sort of question. You definitely got the right ideas and a good passion for it, which I can truly appreciate. So yeah, thank you so much for that, and thank you obviously for coming on and talking to us about everything that is going on. I say again, listeners to Drill at Home need to check out Humanity and the video to it, and obviously follow the band on social media. Come along to a show. It's such a visual experience, and obviously just absolutely love it. And take your mum or your mother-in-law or whoever along with you as well, just for the fun of it. So
They get them for free. Mum's for free.
that could be a great slogan. That definitely, I think you guys could market that too. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. We always just chuck the final message across to the guests and say, what would be your final message for the listeners today? Pressure.
One more song.
Excellent.
I can't top it. I can't fucking top that.
No, yeah, I just thanks. I mean, thanks for listening to our songs if that's what you plan on doing, or if you've seen us live before.
Yeah, it's yeah. Come to a show. Come say hey if you come to a show. We're well nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's what
absolutely
we're
are.
well nice.
Absolutely. I back that message 100%. You've been lovely, and thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks,
No worries.
Paul.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
us.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed the chat there with Fake Your Death. Do make sure that you check out their latest single, Humanity, over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. And of course, please do follow the band across social media. You can also follow Full Pelt on social media or on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.